Alright everybody, welcome to a brand new video. Today we're reacting and having a discussion from a video from Pain Reliever. And the title says, "Are Blood Moon generators better?" So I'm here to react to it. We're going to have a little bit of a discussion about the topic, and to answer the question of the title off the bat, are blood generators better? No. Objectively speaking, blood moon generators are not any good. They are probably one of the worst it's one of the worst events that we've had in DBD, one of the worst changes we had in DBD, and overall just awful. It's awful to play against, and it's awful to play in the event and to deal with these kinds of matches. Now, maybe it's better on Survivor, obviously, you know? Maybe it's more fun that way, but as a killer player, and a mainly killer player, it has been a struggle. It has not been very fun. It's very unfair to play against. I've been playing from day one till now, just been playing the event, and it's just been a nightmare to play. The generators are way too fast. They are faster than the normal generator speeds, so it's not fun. You're having basically 5-minute matches in a mode that's supposed to be about farming blood points, essentially, and there's no way to slow them down. You have absolutely no control over the match when you spawn in. It's basically, you can just guarantee forward gens are out of your hands. If they decide to rush them out, well, good luck. That's it. You know, GG's. There's nothing you can do against it. And it doesn't really feel very fun or very fair or really competitive at all, which is sort of the, you know, what it's kind of about. It's sort of like, you know, a team versus team kind of thing, and you want to try to see who wins in the end, and it's not very fun. But let's get into it. Let's see what kind of points that Pain Reliever has for us.
Developers have implemented an interesting new core objective called the blood generator. Rather than sticking to a generator like glue for 90 seconds, blood generators require survivors to first fill up gas cans at blood pumps scattered around the map, then transport them to blood generators. This new approach has stirred a lot of controversy in the community, with some people complaining that it's an unnecessary extra step, while others praise it for how...
I do want to respond to this person's post, and it basically says here, the good, which is what they're talking about here. Survivors get an objective that's not just starting at a progress bar, but also isn't just extra gens, a partial scavenger hunt, and stealth is encouraged. While I agree that an alternative objective would be a good thing for the survivors to do, the downside is that they do have to, you know, sort of look for, you know, something and start to do the objective, which in turn would in theory create passive slowdown, so that the game will feel a little bit more balanced and feel a little bit more like you're not, you know, running out of time within like seconds of spawning in. And that isn't the case because of how fast that these gens can actually be progressed. The time it takes to actually find the scavenger hunt task or whatever to get the little can or whatever is circumvented and just counteracted by the mere fact that you can instantaneously complete a machine at like a gen after that, because pouring in the damn the damn can is horrible. Like, it's super fast. So all that time you took to look for that that blood machine thing, which, mind you, is not that hard to find. I mean, they're very bright and they're numerous. Like, they're always right next to gens, so it's not like you're really losing much distance or much time. So there's not really much to look for. So I would disagree that, you know, it's, you know, really that great. Stealth is encouraged. Now, stealth gameplay, going against stealth gameplay is just not interesting. It's not fun. As somebody who plays mainly killer and as somebody who prefers like chases in the game, stealth gameplay basically counteracts all the fun I could personally have, because if I can't find a survivor, then I can't therefore chase, and then I can't actually do the thing that's fun. So it's just not very interesting to go up against. I've had it plenty of times when I was playing in this event, and it's just not fun to go up against. There are situations where that you can sort of kick a gen because you think, okay, well, it's progressed pretty heavily, maybe they're not even around, I'm just gonna kick it and just try to find somebody, which you can't. And then as you walk away, the gen gets completed. So you go back and try to find that survivor who completed it, can't find him. So I'm like, so where's the gameplay? You know, like, you can't find anybody, you still can't find anybody, but you're losing objectives. So it doesn't feel good to go up against. You're not really rewarded in any way, you're not really incentivized in any way, it's just sort of, you just lose just to lose, which is not really fair. It doesn't feel like you have any control over the outcome at all, which, you know, it's just not fun. Because the whole point of playing the game is to try to prevent the objective from being completed, and if you just can't, then it's like, okay, like, what do I do? You know, what's the point? They say the draining mechanic is just regression by another name, which means killers are, quote, being rewarded for chasing. And something that, and it gets cut off, and then it says are working on gens. You don't even have to kick, it just drains naturally. Me personally, I have never seen this draining mechanic. I have never seen. I've been playing the event since it came out, like since it dropped. I have never seen the draining mechanic ever activate. I have never seen the draining mechanic do anything. Anytime I've chased any survivor for any span of time, whether it be 5-10 seconds, you're losing 2 gens. Like, it's literally impossible. You can down them instantaneously and you'll still lose every like 3 or 4 gens because you have no control over them being completed. And the draining mechanic doesn't matter. Kicking them does a base 5%, which gets counteracted by their filling up the speed of filling up the generator. And then on top of that, these draining mechanic they're claiming exists I've never seen it do anything. And even furthermore, kicking the cans don't do anything either. So I don't understand what the heck is going on here. Like, you never see any of these things. Survivors are incentivized to move slowly and stealthily and traverse the map, which slows down progress and gives opportunity to prevent gen progress from being deposited. So, hard disagree with that as well. That stealth is super common and does not slow down anything. Like I mentioned before, the time it takes to either find the and fill up the can is completely counteracted by the fact that you instantaneously fill up that generator. So stealth is the same thing. You just hide and then you instantaneously push out the gen. So that is not cool, man. It happens more often than not. I've played the event like up the days up to this point of recording, and I have not seen any gens not get completed instantaneously. I have not seen stealth actually stop progress from happening. And I've only had games that are 5 minutes long because of it. So I hard disagree with that as well. The cans drain slowly instead of some stupid you lose all progress in your hit mechanic. Honestly, they should make it so that you just lose all progress when you are hit, because just to at least give something. Because it's so fast as it is, that would have been the best idea. At least so if you know, okay, if I hit them, it's not gonna completely, it's gonna completely run out, and then they have to start from scratch. At least there's some form of slowdown, but it doesn't exist. Blood gens prevent any progression and regression or slowdown from applying. That is probably the biggest issue I have with the blood generators. Because you literally, as a killer, have zero control over anything that happens in the match. You can get downs and then just lose because it's like, okay, like, you're out of gens, boys. Like, you know, good night. Like, okay, well, what do you do? because downing anybody quickly and hooking them and all that stuff just doesn't really matter in that sense. You need immense pressure, immense speed, and you need immense pressure to even have a chance at trying to prevent the jets from flying, and it's just nearly impossible, and it's not fun. And they do have the part at the bottom left that says the bad, but it's cut off in the screenshot. But that is the counter actions. Those are my counterpoints to all the good things that this person has posted. I hard disagree with like a vast majority of it. It's definitely one of the worst events we've had in a very long time, and it's just terrible. It's absolutely awful.
How liberating it feels to move around more. But let's imagine for a moment that these blood generators wind up replacing the ones we have now. What would the deeper implications to both survivors and killers gameplay be? For survivors, blood generators would transform the game into a more dynamic and stealth-based experience. The blood cans survivors carry around are essentially the equivalent of the perk potential energy. They store repair progress that the survivor decides.
I want to show you guys my point here, like a visual example, because I do, I am making a very valid point, but to give you guys more evidence as to what I mean by the blood gens are getting done basically instantaneously. I'm going to show you guys with a visual example here. And what I'm going to do is we're going to keep an eye on the timer on the bottom left. It's going to be, and we're going to see how long does it take to fill up that generator when they start, okay? And assuming, let's pretend somebody kicked it, right? 5%. Let's just see how, because remember, 5% is supposed to be 5 seconds of a gen. So let's just try to see if we could count like some Sesame Street stuff. We're going to go 1, 2, you know what I mean? We're going to do that, and then we're going to see how much progress is made, okay? So get ready. Okay, so all right, so it fills up. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh my god. It was fast. Hold on. Look at that. 1, 2, 3, 4. Wow. Oh my god, actually. It's fast. Yo, it's faster than, wait, look, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh my god. It's actually faster than we're able to count. Like the timer in the video is faster. What the hell? Hold on, check it out. It says 1 minute 5 seconds, right? Okay, hold on, check it out. So 8, 9. Wow. Damn. I'm really glad that I was able to get a visual example. I'm going to try to play it again. I just want to make sure that my math is correct here. So at 105, he starts. So 106, 107, 108, 109. In less than 5 seconds, he was already able to fill it all the way up. So mind you, let's look at the progress bar, okay? Let's look at the progress bar of the gen. So that is over 10% of the gen right there. Okay? Let's pause, okay? Assuming that right here where it says like in fuel, like FU, like right, and then E, like right before the E is what you could say about maybe 10%. Or if you want to be generous, you go FUE, and then that's like 10%. Let's just be generous and say like the fuel is less about 10%. So if they're able to go up to a gen, walk up to it, right? Like look at how fast that feels. They walk up to it. And from the start of the animation, look, check it out. From the start of the animation, it's already filling up, like right at there. Boom, bam! Look at that. Woo! Already done. From the very start. So think about it this way, right? You stop to kick a generator, and it takes it takes like a couple seconds. Let's say it takes 7 or 8 seconds. Because you can't speed up the speed, right? So the animation, let's say to kick it is say 2 or 3 seconds, just to be generous, and then you have to you kick it, it stops, and then it starts to progress. That means that by the time they walk up to it, because look, by 106, see 1 minute and 6 seconds into the video, this progressed by like 3 or 4%, meaning that the next this is like 8 or 9 or 7% more of the gen, and it's like instant. Like in less than 4 seconds, this was already filled all the way up. That is insane. Like, I knew it was fast, but I didn't know it was that fast. Like, I've only heard about it. But seeing it, a visual example of it in video format is insane. And then look at how fast it fills. Look at that. Oh my god. Oh my god. That is insane. That is insane, dude. How in the hell is this in the game, bro? Like, that is insane. You can't, like, nah, man. You can't say this is better or balanced. This is disgusting. What are you talking about? They're able to knock out gens quicker than you can kick them. Like, holy smoke. And you're telling me no slowdown applies to this either. That is crazy, man.
Perk potential energy. They store repair progress
That's
that
insane.
the survivor decides when and how to use. And the blood pumps around the map become new gathering areas, which reduce the probability of killers finding survivors merely by patrolling generators. Although this makes
That's the problem, by the way. What he just said, that's the problem. By not being able to find survivors and it leaning into stealth, it just makes the games even more annoying to play, because you can't find people and therefore start chasing, therefore apply pressure. If you can't find anybody but gens are flying, you're automatically just losing the game for no, like, just without, it's out of your hands. You can't control if you win or lose. You just lose, and that's it. And that's not really fun or fair to go up against. And that's the main issue.
Process of repairing generators more versatile, there is a heightened risk of being detected by the killer.
Hard disagree, by the way. Being detected is not even a factor with this. In all of my time playing the event, I've barely ever heard anybody holding these things, and I never heard any new sound cue. I never heard the machine going off, like the little like pump that they were using. I never heard any like distinct audio of that at all. So very hard disagree on that. Now they do leave a little blood trail on the bottom, like when they walk around and stuff like that, like you can see right here on the screen. But that is if you are able to see it. You could easily be on a swamp map where it just blends into the dirt and you're not going to be able to see that. So I don't entirely understand why behavior didn't make it any brighter, because you can see it's just like a dark brown. Like, it's not even like it's bright where people can spot it. Like, scratch marks are like very bright red. They didn't make this red for the killer side so that you can see it, so you can spot people easier, because if you're making stealth more incentivized, you need to have a counter for that too, so that it's balanced out. But they didn't even do that.
As transporting blood cans requires more movement and makes more noise than running around empty-handed, players...
It doesn't make more noise, by the way. I've been playing this event and I haven't heard any new noise or sound effect or anything distinct at all. I've played numerous matches. I have not heard anything distinct, anything new. The only new sound effect I ever heard was the gen being 99. Like, the blood gens have like a different sound effect than a regular gen. That's it.
Also run the risk of losing the blood collected if they move quickly or get chased. And unlike traditional generators,
so
after a chase ends,
I didn't know that they did lose blood from the can when they ran around. But they might have to increase the amount that you lose or something, because like, I don't even think it has any impact onto how much progress gets made to these things. Like, and all my time playing, I have not seen any difference with that mechanic at all. Like, they complete those blood generators in seconds. Like, there is nothing there. Like, that mechanic is just decorative, I guess, because that doesn't actually apply to the actual match at all. Like, I have never seen that matter, like, at all. Because as quickly as you can try to stop one person from completing it, someone else with a blood pump already can just be already behind that person and fill it right up anyway. So the one person losing it does not mean that it stops the gen at all. Like, it just one person losing the can does not mean that the generator gets stopped at all. It just, that's it. It's just, that's it. Like, it's still going to be completed. You have no control over it as a killer player, and it doesn't feel good. You can't counter it at all. It's just completely just out of your hands, and it's unfun.
Survivors can't simply start repairing the nearest generator. They must take extra time and risk finding a blood pump and delivering blood again.
I hard disagree with this point that he's making. There is no higher risk to looking for the blood pump. There's no higher risk to filling it up, because the speed of when you can fill it up is very fast. They're usually right next to gens, so it's not like you're gonna lose much progress. And it also does not make a very loud noise, so it's also it's pretty quiet, so you're not really gonna get heard that easily. The only way you're gonna get there is any risk involved is if the killer is able to see you if you do that. So, and even then, there's 3 other people that can do the same thing. So even if you, the player, is getting spotted, there's 3 other people that are most likely getting more blood from the pump anyway. So it really just does not matter in the grand scheme. There is very little risk. There's very little downside. And that's why people are focusing so heavily on the blood gens only when they play these matches. They don't ever care to do regular gens because they know that the blood gens are way faster and they have to do way less. The time it would take to find a pump is non-existent. The time it takes to fill it up, non-existent. There's no risk and only reward for filling them up.
So when adding up all of these factors, survivors will naturally lean more towards stealth-based gameplay to ensure they can repair blood generators without interruption. Killers, meanwhile...
Stealth, as I've mentioned even before, it's just not a thing that we should be looking for in this game. It's not something that we should be excited about. It's not something that we should be incentivized to do, because it's one of the least interesting ways to play the game, and it's one of the one of the least interesting things to go up against as a killer player, because if you can't find anybody, you can't progress your objective. If you can't progress your objective, meaning chasing people, downing people, you're basically just going to automatically lose the game. And that applies double by the mere fact that in this event, there's 4 gens you can't slow down, you can't stop, you can't pause them. There are 4 gens that are out of your hands. So not being able to even find people makes it even harder. If that were even possible, makes it even harder to actually play the match as a killer. What would be the point for you? Like, just don't even play this mode as a killer player, because you're not incentivized in any way, shape, or form by new mechanic, or just like even the blood points applies to regular 1v4. Like, what is the incentive, you know?
Would have to adapt to new strategies. Patrolling generators won't be enough anymore, as survivors won't be found there as often. Adjusting patrol routes, predicting blood can transportation routes, and memorizing pump locations will become essential for hindering survivors' progress. Additionally, tracking and detection perks will become more important, as survivors...
I completely... I think that what he's suggesting is going to be a very bad idea. There's a lot of players of DBD that don't play killer because they find it very stressful. There's a lot of players, I've seen it around. There's a lot of people that just can't play it because they find it way too too stressful. It's too anxiety inducing, and it basically makes it harder for them to enjoy themselves and to play the mode, because they just can't handle dealing with that level of stress, especially in a game that they probably just want to play for fun. So maybe to them it's not fun to go up against. Now, adding on the fact that what he just said, like, now there's a brand new thing to add on top of everything you have to micromanage, because keep in mind, as a killer, you're having to micromanage your power, your perks, the gens, and 4 survivors that all 4 of them can do 4 separate things at the same time, extremely efficiently. So add on the fact that now the gens are even faster, and then there's also pumps that you need to somehow be able to know where those are on top of that. And then you also not only need to see that and know where that is, but then you have to also try to predict where they're going to go with their blood pumps on top of that. Add it all together to add more stress to those people, pushing more people away from the killer's side. On top of that, the gens are flying anyway. So even micromanaging all this stuff doesn't matter because they're still extremely fast. So all this extra effort you're putting in doesn't even apply. And that's not something that we should be adding to a side that already has so much to deal with. Killer side already has so much to micromanage as it is. It's the most difficult side of the two. You're only making the survivor side even easier while making the killer side even harder for no reason. Like, there's no balancing here. Like, it's straight up just one side gets heavier and heavier and heavier, and you're making less and less people incentivized to want to play the game at that point.
Holding blood cans can simply hide if the killer's nearby. Blood cans also enable gen rushing strategies to be more effective, as 3 survivors can camp a single pump, wait for the killer to leave their area, then repair the blood generator in a fraction of the time as a normal generator. It also doesn't help that generator regression perks don't work on blood generators, but I think the developers will fix that if they decide to replace the current generators with these.
That is the biggest issue with the blood generators, is that you have no way to slow them down in any way, shape, or form. Gen rushing is even more, which is already one of the biggest problems with the game, is now accentuated and even accelerated now with the blood gens, which is already why people run quad slowdown. And he did mention, Pain Reliever mentioned here that there's going to be more of an incentive to want to go for like information perks. And that's not something that people are really going to do.
Also, certain killers like Doctor, Wraith, and Hag will be played more often, as the prevalence of stealth-based survivor gameplay and increased map traversal will make their powers more useful. But what do I...
No, I completely disagree. First off, I'm going to talk about the information perks. First and foremost, okay, information perks may get a spike in increase in use. And then what that'll do is now make the survivors complain even more about information perks, right? So that will probably get nerfed, right? And then they kind of have to go back to quad slowdown, which survivors already are complaining about. And let's consider the fact that the recent PTB is already cutting off the whole... They're considering trying to change out haste and hindered, so that already cuts off a killer variety, which is interesting. Because survivors have a tendency to complain about quad slowdown, but then if a killer is running not quad slowdown, they get steamrolled, teabagged at the exit gate, and then they, of course, are like, well, can't run non-quad slowdown, and then they go back to quad slowdown again, which then leads to more complaining. So it's interesting when you think about it, because within the game, if you want to play chill or relaxed, you have to run quad slowdown. But when you're trying to use a meme build that's supposed to be for fun or interesting, you have to sweat to make it work. It's the inverse of the two. And that's the biggest issue. But top it off as well, information perks are most likely going to just make survivors complain even more, which will probably get nerfed. Again, Which, keep in mind, right? Like, we're losing, we would end up losing, not only do we lose, like, haste builds and hindered builds, which is already 2 forms of build variety, but then we're also would end up losing slowdown as an option for variety. So all that stuff would be either info or chase, which if they're stealthing, you can't go for chase because you can't find anybody. So you're just limited to just aura, which is not very effective anyway. So you're kind of like, you're not really given a lot of options as a killer player when it comes down to builds and selection. Let's also talk about the characters he was talking about, the killers. He said that Hag, Doctor, and Wraith will get picked more. I completely disagree. Hag is one of the lowest picked killers in the game. So she will not be getting a increase in pick rate at all. Like, at all. She is very slow. And she's extremely counterable at the high level. And ultimately is not going to be chosen very often at all. And she's just not very strong as a killer. She's not an S tier. She's not an A tier. Like, she's not very strong. So most players are not going to pick her. There's a lot of factors that go into that, but not a lot of people are going to play Hag. Doctor, I will also say, is a little bit more popular, but very low chances that people are going to pick them because they're still a low tier, probably like a C at least. At least a C tier at maybe the highest, and maybe a low B if you really want to push it. But they're still slow because they're an M1 killer. They don't have traversal, right? We're talking about a mode here that literally has like insanely fast, disgustingly fast gen speeds. Doctor's not gonna do anything in that situation. Doctor is like, just because he has info doesn't mean that he's just going to somehow get picked way more. He's just simply not. And as for Wraith, I mean, Wraith is fine. Like, he moves pretty fast, so he does have a better chance of like maybe like fitting into the space with the bludgeons and everything. Because he's quick, he's at least fast, so at least you have a chance. But he's not an S tier, so out of the 3, I would say only Wraith is the one that I agree with that at least may get chosen more, but still not by much. What actually is going to happen is the main issue that they already have, which is, they're constantly using the S tiers, the top 5s. So you're still going to see Blight and Nurse, and you're still going to see the other strong killers. You're just going to see that. Because you can't apply pressure with slow-moving characters like Hag. You can't apply pressure with M1 killers like that. You have to start using S tiers, and what are they? Nurse that ignores tiles, and Blight that is super fast. And then also, if you consider Kaneki, fast. You know, like, you need speed to help to even have a fighting chance against this. So those characters, like, those characters are the only way around it. Trying to counteract the bludgeons is just like it's not gonna happen. They would have to completely rework it to where you're losing like more blood when you walk around. You need to be able to slow down the amount of progress you can make on the gens. Like, you need to have some kind of grace period when you fill it up or something like that, because as you saw in the video, the second they start pouring, it already fills all the way up. Like, it's like the second it tips, the animation barely started, it's already filling all the way up. They gotta make it so that when they start the animation, it doesn't start counting toward the bar until like a second or two later, like, just to give it at least a fighting chance, to make it a little bit like less like quick and slow down the amount of progress it can make overall. There's a lot of things you got to do to really bring it down to where it should be, because as it is now, it's a completely terrible one-sided update. It doesn't give anything for killers. It completely makes it horrible to play against. Like, it's not fun, and it's not interesting to play against, and it's just not very good, you know.
Think about blood generators? Well, I've been waiting years for the developers to give players a new core objective that doesn't force them to sit in one place for 90 seconds. So I like this idea more than what we have. That being said, there are issues with the blood generators that needs to be addressed. Many perks, add-ons, and killer powers have become obsolete due to their inability to.
And I almost forgot to mention that Knight, Houndmaster, and Freddy also lose a portion of their power because of the existence of these things. So a lot of L's in a lot of directions here for the blood generators. So to answer the question, are blood moon generators better? No, they are much worse, and they only emphasize the biggest problems with the game as a whole lately, which has just been the gen speed. And then, like, by making an event that further increases the gen speed is not a change that we want to see. And if they want to actually make a good change, slow it down. Like, slow it down. That's all they gotta do. Slow it down. At obviously the other changes I suggested, Mr. Headache had made a great suggestion. Why don't we have kicks actually, matter on the blood gens? So that's more of a risk reward. Make the gen kick at least do 20% of that gen's progress, so that as fast as it fills, it also can be removed as quickly, so that it's more of like a sudden death, as he described it, a sudden death type of thing. That would be a fantastic change and make it way better, because that would be way more interesting, and it would actually feel more impactful than kicking a gen, walking away, and hearing it just be instantaneously completed. It's not fun. It's not good. But with that being said, thank you guys for watching. If you've made it up to this point, let me know what you guys think in the comments. Do you think the blood moon generators are better or worse? And how would you change these things? Have you been playing the event? Unfortunately, I have, and it has been a nightmare. Absolutely awful event. And yeah, let me know what you guys think. Support the channel with the links in the description, and check out the other videos. If you want to follow on Twitch to watch me play Killer live, feel free to do so, and I'll see you guys in the next one.